Hey everybody, welcome back to the Valley Bible Studies podcast.
Hey, that's us. I feel like I say that a lot.
So you do.
It's fine. It's still funny. It's still funny to me.
We need look. Ben says that if it's funny once, it's funny always.
That's true.
I don't know if it is, but well, whatever. Shout out Ben. You
Hi,
say
Ben.
We've never shouted you out. We're shouting
Here
you out.
Here you go. This is the one.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Now
all right,
we're done.
He gave you a limit. We'd like to start off first with an apology.
Yeah.
I don't know if the apology is actually like needed.
I don't know.
Because no one's actually said, hey, when are you guys going to release a new episode?
That's not true. Mandy told me that a couple weeks ago.
Aw.
So far, she's the only one. So shout out to Mandy for listening. Also,
yes,
yeah.
Thank you, Mandy.
Yeah. We've been gone a while.
So it's not that we've been gone. We've both been here.
We've both been like at West Side, yeah.
We've both been incredibly busy.
Yeah. It was like the height of the summer busy season for me.
Pretty
and then
much.
I was gone for like 3 weeks straight. So I actually was like in Tennessee for a hot minute.
Yeah. And then football we're in full swing.
Yep.
Camp, like football camp, and then school starting.
And baby number 2 is now
baby number 2 is on the way.
A month and a half out.
About, yeah. I'm not scared. It's fine.
It'll be fine. It's great.
Everything's fine.
Yeah.
You know,
it's just like the first time in every way, and it doesn't change at all, right?
Okay, you don't have any kids. You can't say anything like that.
That's a good point.
False.
Yeah, I know.
Because now it's everything again, but it's probably going to be different. But it's also going to be...
You're also having a boy this time.
We are.
So it totally changes the game.
Yeah. Hey, guess what his name is?
You have no idea.
I said guess.
Luke.
Keep guessing. Give me your top 100 and maybe I'll pick one. I don't know.
William.
We don't know. Yeah, we don't know what his name's going to be.
Francis.
It's... no, not Francis.
Reginald. You said keep guessing.
Reggie. Is that what you want? You want Reggie?
Reggie is pretty fun, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, we actually have no clue what his name's going to be, and it's next month. So yeah, yay us. But aside from that, life
goes on.
It does.
Life finds a way, is what I've heard. That's a Jurassic Park reference for all of you Jurassic Park fans out there. I'm going to stop talking. You just do this episode.
No. Whoa. Hey. Nope. That's a bad idea. For a lot of reasons. But we are sorry, if anyone does care. But that's just our excuse is that life kept on going and we had to kind of roll with it.
Is it a good excuse?
No.
Anyway.
All right. We are excited. Like, we got a new setup. So obviously you can't see, but we're actually chilling in a very comfortable
It's much
setting.
more comfortable now, which hopefully will entice us to record more like regularly again. I feel like for the first year we did really good. And then it started to slowly
Well, and then even with, as you said, season 2, we did pretty well for the first, few months.
Couple months, yeah.
Yeah, and then April hit, and then May, and then...
But it's okay,
June.
Because we're changing.
Are we?
Dude, you have to have a little bit of faith.
I hope so.
We did Faithfulness a couple episodes ago. Listen to that again, and then you'll be like, yes, we're going to record
we're the ones
every
that
time.
said it, and it didn't really stick.
Well,
we talked about faithfulness to God, and that stuck.
That's true.
But
I would hope so.
But to the podcast.
We try. We do our best.
Do we?
Anyway,
all right.
We are finally wrapping up the Fruits of the Spirit section of the podcast.
It only took us 6 months.
It only took us 3 months. Which, we're still not behind in terms of the written studies. The written studies on the Fruits of the Spirit are still coming out. We still have, I think, like one of them will release with this, and then I think we have one more.
So technically,
we're not behind.
Technically.
Is it convenient for you all? No, but technically, we're on schedule.
You're throwing up the Trump hands?
Technically.
Technically, this is the best podcast
This is the best podcast you've ever heard. No, but we are finishing.
By the way, my Trump impression is just absolute garbage. Yours is pretty good.
Thank you.
Yeah,
we are finally finishing the Fruits of the Spirit part of the podcast. And we've done it backwards. So we've done This is the third episode on the fruits of the Spirit. We've done 3 each, and we did the 3 trios backwards. So this is actually the first 3 that are listed in Galatians 5:22, which are love, joy, and peace. And when we were going into recording this is kind of the easiest of the 3 trios and kind of the hardest.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they're the 3 that are the most talked about throughout the Bible, which makes it easy. Like, you know it well because it's there throughout, but how do you cover all of that in one go?
Right, because we were like, okay, yeah, so it's, peace, love, and joy. And we went, yeah, I said, that's
easy.
I was like, yeah, that'd be easy.
And then
then
we kept coming up with passages, and we were like, oh, that's a lot of passages.
Yeah, so we're just going to kind of lay down the framework.
I do have, I think, a pretty solid understanding, or a pretty solid way to say the part about love, which I worked out over the course of 4 years of college working on that study specifically.
Goodness, man, if you did it for 4 years, you better have a good saying for it.
I would hope so. So to start there, because it's the first one of the trio.
Love.
So God compares himself, equates himself with 2 things over the course of the Bible. The first one is the concept of being itself. And you find that in Exodus chapter 3. Moses is at the burning bush, and they're having this conversation where God says, you're going to be the person that I send to help rescue my people out of Egypt, to go and say to the Pharaoh, let my people go. And over the course of that conversation, Moses does what we are so good at doing oftentimes and tries to come up with reasons why he doesn't have to do that, or reasons why he's not the guy to do that. The first reason that he comes up with, he says it in a couple of different ways, but the first reason is no one will believe me. Like, if I go back and I say, God said you have to let the people go, no one's going to listen to that. And the first way that he says that is he says, well, who should I say is the God that goes with me? Like, who should I say is the God that is saying, let my people go? And God's answer to that is when he says, I am who I am. What that literally means, the Greek translates it as, I am the one who is. So what God is saying there is, I am independent of you. If you think about, the history of everything existing, God existed before anything else. God is the reason why anything else exists, which means the existence of anything depends upon the existence of God. We are dependent beings. He is a necessary being. So God equates himself with the concept of being itself. And the other thing that God equates himself with in Scripture is love. 1 John 4, verse 8, he who does not love does not know God, because God is love.
Yeah.
Not God has love, not God acts out of love. He is love. They're the same. So, God is being, and God is love. What that means is that the highest state of being is love. To exist to the fullest extent is to love other people, which is why Jesus says that the entire law boils down to, you will love the Lord your God with everything that you have, you will love your neighbor as yourself. Because what he's actually saying, part of what he's saying is, literally all of the law of Moses boils down to those 2 things. To accomplish the law of Moses is to love God and to love other people. But he's also saying the highest form of existence that you can achieve as a human being is the form of existence in which you are in harmony with God and you are in harmony with the people around you. That's the ideal of what love is in the Bible.
I mean, that tracks. And you got to think about it. It lays down the foundation for literally everything else that we're going to talk about.
Right.
Because you can't achieve peace or joy without having love in your life.
Well, that's Paul says in 1 Corinthians 13. He says, if I speak with the tongues of angels but I have not love, I'm like a bunch of instruments who are just making noise. If I serve other people but have not love, it profits me nothing. If I sacrifice everything that I have and give myself over to be burned but have not love, it profits me nothing. So love is the whole point of existing as a Christian and serving other people as a Christian.
Right.
If you don't have love as a piece of that,
you can't have anything else. Like,
right.
if you don't have if you don't have the love, you can't build. Like, love is what you build off of.
Right.
And so everything else that we've talked about, literally, the last 2 years, without love for me, without love for you, and then ultimately without love for God, none of the other things happen.
Right.
You can try to make them happen, but they're not going to actually be in full effect without love being the foundation of your life.
I've also heard it said that God's grace is the action that he takes on behalf of his love. So he loves us, and because he loves us, he extends us grace through Christ, but also through all of the other things that he gives us. Because grace, the biblical definition of grace, is a free gift, a gift that you didn't deserve. And the reason that we have all of those gifts is because God loved us in the first place.
Yeah.
So it's the beginning of and the foundation of everything that comes after it.
Right. So, and that leads us to the next two, peace and joy. Personally, with love, especially love for, let's put it to more of an earthly kind of viewpoint, like love for your family.
Yeah.
That's something that brings me joy.
Yeah.
You know, the love I have for my wife, the love I have for my, about to be kids, and then the rest of my family, and then for my friends, for my church family, for anything that you actually enjoy, hey, you love it. And so that brings you joy.
Right. When I think joy, so when I think love, the first place that my mind goes is 1 John, specifically chapter 4, but a lot of 1 John is about that topic. Also 1 Corinthians 13. When I think joy, it's got to be Philippians, especially chapter 4, where he says, like, rejoice in the Lord always. And then later in that chapter, he also says, like, so joy and happiness are not the same. Because he says later in that chapter, I know how to have nothing and I know how to abound. Yeah. I know how to be hungry, I know how to be full. He's literally writing that letter from prison. So it's not that Paul was happy all the time. It's that he had a joy in spite of the bad circumstances.
Yeah. Happiness is an emotion. Joy is a mindset.
Yes.
It's a perspective.
Yes.
Almost. You can be joyful while going through tough things, but you're probably not going to be happy.
Right.
Right. And then vice versa. I mean, obviously you're going to be joyful during the good times, but it's, like I said, it's a mindset, because where is your joy placed? If you try to find joy in secular things, that's not going to be actual joy. That's just going to be a momentary, like, happiness.
Right.
But if you place your joy in Christ, then that's consistent.
Well, and to take it a step further, this has been pointed out to me before as what some people see as a contradiction in the Bible, because in Philippians 4 it says, like, rejoice in the Lord always. In James chapter 4, I think it's verse 8 or 9, somewhere around there, but James says, be miserable and mourn and weep, and let your happiness turn into mourning and your joy into sorrow. And so people have pointed that out and said, huh? Like if he just said, Paul in Philippians says, rejoice always, and James says, no, actually you should be sad. Right. Well, if you look contextually at what James is talking about in James 4, going back to the beginning of the chapter, he's talking about the fact that the reason that conflict exists, in the church especially, is people want to get their way rather than wanting what's good for the whole. And because of that, they're, like he says, where do wars and strifes come from among you? They come from your desires.
Yeah.
And so when it's put in that context, what he's saying is not you should be sad all the time. He's saying you should be willing to put away what you want for the sake of the greater good of the church. And when you do that, joy becomes more possible, because you're not thinking about what I want. You're not thinking about what am I not going to get that's going to disappoint me next. You're thinking about the joy that you have as a Christian and as part of the church.
Right. It's the bigger picture. It's less of me and more of thee.
Right.
Yeah.
Which applies in your relationship with Christ, but also applies in your relationship with the church.
Well, and then so when you have that that joy, and when you're thinking of the bigger picture, you can finally find peace in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You can finally find the content in your life because you're not serving yourself. Because it's always, when you're serving yourself, it's consistently the mindset of the grass is always greener, because you're always looking for something to add. You're always looking for something better. When in reality, when you're serving Christ, when you're living for him, there is nothing better.
Yeah. So I did not plan this until I'm thinking about it right now. But once again, to pair Philippians and James, Philippians presents the path to peace as a one-step process. Because he says in Philippians chapter 4, starting in verse 6, be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer, with supplication and thanksgiving. Now, supplication and thanksgiving are two specific kinds of prayer, but he says, everything by prayer, let your requests be made known to God, and the peace of God, which passes all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. In James chapter 5, James says in verse 13-ish, somewhere around there, is anyone among you suffering? Let him pray. So what's the solution to, like, how do I as a Christian have peace in my life? You pray about it.
Yeah, communicating with God.
Right. That's what prayer is. It's me telling God, this is how I feel, this is what I think, and surrendering all of those things to him. One of the best studies or the best frameworks for thinking about prayer is reading through the Psalms. Because if you look through the 150 Psalms that are in there, all of them are very genuine, and a lot of them look really messy to us today. Like, there are entire Psalms that are about David or whoever's writing it saying, these people are not treating me fairly, and I don't like it. Like, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
And that is a fair thing to think. And that is a fair thing to express to God, just the frustration of, I wish my life didn't look like this. And part of how you find peace, a large part of how you find peace, according to the New Testament, is being able and willing to express that to God on a regular basis.
Yeah. And a lot of times that's hard to do.
Yeah.
Because we get in our own way.
Right. Well, and anytime you're dealing with people, right, it's going to be that much harder to find peace, because everyone is looking for peace. Like, everyone is looking for personal fulfillment that brings peace, and we all see our way of getting there.
Yeah.
Like, I have my version of, if things looked like this, I would be at peace. You have your version. Everybody else at Westside has their version. Everybody else in the world has their version. Me and my sister say all the time, if the world would just listen to the two of us, everything would be great.
Sure.
Which, if you know Lissa, maybe not. But but that's like the mindset, right? So part of it
it would be great for you.
Right. So part of it is doing what James said about James chapter 4, being willing to put aside what I want for the greater good of the whole.
Yeah.
So, as a practical application of all three of those, the Sermon on the Mount, which is a go-to for me about literally everything all of the time.
Naturally.
The Beatitudes that begin the Sermon on the Mount. What Jesus says is, these are the attributes of people who follow me, and this is what results from having those attributes. Yeah. So, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. You go down through that list, and what you find is that the first part, the attribute that we are expected to have as followers of Christ, is the part that you apply the love of God. So what does it mean to be poor in spirit? It kind of means what we've been saying from James chapter 4 about how I'm willing to put aside what I want for the sake of my relationship with God. And what does that result in? It results in joy and peace. Yeah. Love is the path to joy and peace. Right. Go through all of them. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. What does that mean? It means loving God enough to love his law and to love what he said about how the world works. And when I hunger and thirst for righteousness, he says, "For they shall be satisfied." And so I have the spiritual joy and peace and satisfaction that comes with that pursuit. There's a practical way of thinking about.
Right. It's because of what you're striving for.
Right.
Like, what are your intentions? If those are your intentions, then, like you said, that's what you're going to get.
Right.
Well, hey, let me tell you. That was a little shorter, but
if
we don't keep this one short, it's going to be a 3-hour-long episode.
Right. Like, we could be here literally all night.
Yeah. But I think that's where we're going to wrap things up. This has been fun.
I also think this is a big enough discussion and conversation about these 3 really big ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Ask us a question.
That'd be nice.
Send us a comment. Send us your thoughts on these 3 really big, like, foundational pieces of Christianity, and let's have a conversation about it.
That would be very nice. Check out valleyBibleStudies.com, all the social media platforms, and whatever you're listening to this on.
I will say, partially because of my own time constraints and partially because of how the written studies have worked in the past, we've only done family studies on the fruits of the Spirit. Almost all of those are up. I think we have one more after this week to put up on self-control. When we get into our next topic, we will be starting the individual studies as well again.
Okay.
But if you can't find the basic Bible studies on the fruits of the Spirit, they're not missing. They don't exist. So there you go.
There you go. Well, thank you so much for being with us on this fantastic journey, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Mm-hmm.
Take care.